唔一定時時都咁健康嘅。不過人生有佢，就必定有平安。人生萬變，但係耶穌嘅愛咧係永遠不變。
Welcome to my art studio. This is where I'll do all my drawings and all my creativities.
他最喜欢绘画动物，著名的好莱坞卡通电影《狮子王》出自他的手笔。
When I was working on The Lion King, and we really study these lions. We really make sure we know the movement of the lions.
他的创作信念源自他对创造主的信仰，但在艺术之路上也遇到冲击。
I argue with my professor. I said, abstract art. If abstract art is so awesome, then everybody can go buy a canvas and paint on the canvas. Then who qualify to be an artist?
他的人生另一次重大的冲击是几乎葬身大海。
And I jump in there. For 2 seconds of time, I was taken out in the ocean. After about 20-30 minutes, I don't see the hope of me swimming back.
后来，他在好莱坞名成利就，但生命的冲击陆续到来。
Because all your surrounding, everybody, sleeping around and trying to live that holiness in God as a Christian in Hollywood is extremely difficult.
在创造主的恩典之下，他现在将创作才华奉献给创造天地万物的上帝。
In creation, we have nature, family, and arts, and all of them shining like firefly everywhere. So tell us something about what you think about life and arts.
I think arts is so crucial. We don't realize that every day our family, we are surrounded with art. And when I was going to school in the first 2 years, we learned a lot about abstract art, and I don't know if I was quite there, and because my mind wasn't advanced enough to understand. So when I went to art school, I realized that wow, not everybody can become like Picasso. What inspired me to be an artist? So I thought having a great art, it's really understand that I myself am a masterpiece because I was created by a master. So that concept of God is an artist, the greatest artist ever, and for me, I understand that. Then from there, I was inspired because he's my greatest art teacher.
Yeah, that's why you have a hard time with your first arts college.
Yeah. I argue with my professor. I said, abstract art. If abstract art is so awesome, then everybody can go buy a canvas and paint on the canvas. Then who qualify to be an artist? That means everybody is an artist. So I was almost frustrated. I said, if I come to school, spend $50,000 a year, and I'm learning abstract, I always think about how do I make a living, because I have to be practical. How do I draw something and someone want to pay me for, because I think it's too unrealistic for everybody all want to become Picasso in New York City.
So tell me something more about your feeling. Oh, I have come into a wrong place. What do I do now?
On the first year, I decided to leave, but my mom says, no, stay. Second year, you stay, I buy you a car, but I stayed second year, my mom didn't buy me a car. But after second year, I told my mom, that's it, I'm going to go back to Orlando. And my mom got scared, said, no, you got to make sure you get a degree. So I went to this art college, and that was exactly the summer where I was so lost and so confused. I said, why does my mom want me to get a degree? I don't care. I don't want to go to art school because art school, all they teach me is abstract. I don't learn anything. You're wasting money. And then that year, I met Christ. I nearly drowned, and that summer, God brought me to this great school in Sarasota.
And before we go into that, I want to talk a little bit back in your first art school. That I remember you saying that you kind of don't like the people, how they look at art and how they make up themselves instead of just painting.
Yes. Yeah, a lot of artists they focus more on the outward appearance. You know, like a lot of my art students, they all like back in the 80s. You know, the punk hair and purple and yeah, not just like today. You know, they have tattoos and they have like punches, holes everywhere, and they dress themselves. They spend so much time to look like an artist. But when they show their artwork in school, I look at it, I'm going like, you didn't take much time, 10 minutes to do this?
It's so unreal in relation to what art should mean, right?
Yeah, I think it's disrespectful to the art, because to really become an artist takes discipline and understanding of nature. You got to understand what's cold and cool, composition, black, gray, figurative drawing, anatomy, and there's a great discipline in this thing. Before you become, even Picasso, he was an academic classical art, became abstract.
But now, let's talk something about when you landed into another College of Arts.
Yeah.
That's something good for you.
Oh, it changed my life. When I went there was a major called illustrations, and I never heard it before. What? What's illustration? I only heard of fine artist. And then when I realized for illustration is something you can draw a picture for this article, for the magazines, and you can get paid. I was drawing figure drawings all the time. And fortunately, that's exactly what Disney was looking for. They were not looking for someone who can paint color.
And we can say that you have found art in Florida.
Yes.
But at the same time, at the same place, you almost lost your life there. And life seems to be too short for something as beautiful as arts.
Yeah.
Life is too short for everything that is good. And tell me your life and death experience there.
Well, I mean, I grew up in beaches, in Orlando. On the left and my right, it's all ocean. Summertime, when I come home from school in 1988, I would, this summer I went there and I went swimming and, body surfing. And one time I jumped in this pool of water in the ocean out in Cocoa Beach. And when I jumped in there, 2 seconds of time, I was taken out in the middle of the ocean.
You jump in with somebody, isn't it?
Well, there was 3 of us, my cousin and my friend Johnny, and then there's another guy, my high school friends. I realized I was too tired after about 20, 30 minutes. There's no way. I was kicking with my legs and one arm holding him up. And I saw his face is turning purple. And I told myself.
You mean you're holding on your...
Yeah, Johnny. He could not swim. That guy was skinny and he would sink, if I don't hold him. So he would just kick and kick and kick. And
what about the other guy?
My cousin and my friend Wayne, they hung out to the rock and they were all cut up by the oysters. They were all cut up, whole body was all cut up. Yes. They hung up to the rock.
But he managed to climb up on shore.
Yeah, but I jumped out and we just swam toward the ocean, and before we know it, me and Johnny was taken out in the ocean.
So what were you thinking by then?
Well, I mean, I still have confidence. I'm the lifeguard, I can keep him there, but I don't see the hope of me swimming back because we're just getting pulling further and further away from the shore.
You keep trying, but you're still just staying there.
Oh yeah, it was just so strong. The current is so strong. It was so
Did you have a moment thinking, I'm going to die?
Yes. After 45 minutes.
45 minutes?
Yes, 45 minutes out in the ocean. I was so tired. And this is 3-time attempt trying to hold Johnny. And I told myself, if I go back and Johnny die, I will feel guilty. So I decided, if we're going to die, we die together. So that day I hold Johnny's hand. I said, Johnny, let's pray. I just start screaming out to God. I said, God, you created ends of the earth. You create everything. No lifeguard, no fisherman can save me. And I just called out to him. And I remember that day I barely passed, barely had last breath. And I remember a voice called me, and then Johnny says, hey, Dave, we can stand up now. And I was amazed. We're out in the middle of the ocean. We actually can stand up out far in the ocean. Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So
because the land ship underneath.
Probably, but it could be sandbar, or maybe we waited long enough. But regardless, that day God heard my prayer. Maybe that day I walked on the sand, or maybe that day I walked on the hands of God.
Right. This is a life and death experience, and also a life-changing experience.
Yes.
That change that led you into a realm of success and satisfaction, which is we call Disney.
Yeah.
So, but there are some other side of Disney. Tell us the stories with Disney on both sides, good and bad.
To me, like after my art school, the real school begins in Disney. But at the same time, in there, there's over there we have a lot of different family value are not the same. There's a lot of homosexuality in Hollywood. Yeah. One of my friends, now he's my best friend now. He was embarrassed to tell me, but I found out he was struggling with homosexuality, and I led him to Christ. And I didn't want to say, hey, I caught you looking at this homosexual pornography, but God just said, you know, how would you be treated, you know, if you found out you struggle with this and you're embarrassed? And I started taking him to church and leading him to Christ. But I know my own temptation. I have lust, right? I mean, I lust after women. Even though I'm married, I have a temptation to lust after women. People may not see it, brother and sister may not see it, but I know in my mind, as an artist, right? I know inside that I have this sinful nature, no difference than him. I remember I came to Taiwan, from Taiwan to America. I'd never seen a pornography before. But when I came to America, 13 years old, they have this thing, garage sale. So I ride my bike and I went over there and I saw Playboy for the first time of my life. And as a young man, when I saw Playboy, my body had this amazing sensations. And I recognized, oh, the Bible talk about lust. I first time experienced lust. So for years, I would struggle with pornography for a long time as an artist. Now, as an artist, I go to art school. I also had to draw naked women, right? But that's a very different. Looking at it from an artistic point of view, from a lustful sexual desire point, it's very, very different. With that, I would say that's probably my inner closet dark secrets of growing up as an artist, as a firefly. That's my inner struggle, just like my friends struggle with homosexuality. And trying to live that holiness in God as a Christian in Hollywood is extremely difficult. Because all your surrounding, everybody, you know, sleeping around and dating this person, dating 2, 3 of them at one time. I mean, that's very, very common.
What about money temptation?
Probably fame is more important to me than money.
Fame.
Yeah, because I want to win Academy Awards. I want to be better than my friends. I want to make sure I succeed. I want to make sure I outdo all my friends. Yeah.
Would you call it also a temptation?
Temptations, yeah, I would say pride. That's my temptation, pride. Being a Christian person in Hollywood, you know, you're sucked up into pride. In some way, we say we want to be famous for God. But I would say deep inside, God showed me the verse in the Bible says, where your treasure is, that's where your heart is.
Yes, it's just like in the name of Christ, make me famous.
Yes. Yes.
This is something needs to have some reflection.
Yes, and like I said, I think still today, I gotta make sure I'm humble before God every day, because, you know, God can take my life and my talent and my health just like that, you know, if we don't walk humbly before God.
Yes, and that's what I'm saying, that you got the real meaning of truth well faced by both sides in Disney, the good side and the bad side. And that is God, make that happen to you and make that go into another page of your life.
Yes.
And let's come back to talk about it later.
在好莱坞要克服种种试探的同时，刘大伟也渐渐从名成利就当中开始有另一番感受，开始探索究竟事业成功有什么意义。在这个时候，上帝让他和一只小小的蚂蚁相遇，令他改变了生命路向。
Now, David, you just told us you had so much in Disney on the good side and also that much on the bad side. And you come to the point finally. If you felt vulnerable, you felt void and empty. So at this juncture, you have a small ant to come to help you, this little firefly. What happened?
Well, sometime in 1999 when I was working on Star Wars Episode 1, and I bought this big bag of cookie from Costco, and I thought, you know, we're gonna have a Christmas party in my house. And I tasted the cookie, I thought it's too sweet, so I think nothing of it, I just threw it in the trash. I didn't want to eat that. But then the next day I was going to take out the trash. I noticed the whole entire garbage was consumed by ants. And I thought, wow, this is amazing. Last night there was no ants when I left that bag in the trash. But last night somehow a very diligent, hard-working ant, he has succeeded and find the greatest achievement in my trash. It's amazing achievement in his resume, right? I said, Mr. Ant, don't be so prideful. I said, your bag of cookie is nothing. It's only a bag of trash. Last night, I threw that in the trash. I have something greater than that bag of cookie. Mr. Ant don't believe me. He says, what do you have? I said, I have refrigerator in my house. Inside there, I got steak, sandwiches, you know, I got potato chips, I got jellies, I got juice, I got milk. At that time, I said, you know, Mr. Ant, come on, you know, be humble. And at that time, God inspired me at that moment. He says, but Mr. Davey, don't be so prideful. Just because you are a firefly, you gotta recognize your purpose of a firefly. Because you think your success and your achievement is in that Academy Awards. God says, I have got greater Academy Awards for you in heaven. And at that time, when God says, in my house, I have this supermarket that has more than refrigerator, more than Academy Awards. And I have something greater than you can ever imagine, you know. Instantly at that time, I, Mr. Firefly, feel as small and as humble as that Mr. Ant that found a bag of cookie in the trash. Because you can't take all the money that you success, you can't take those with you, but you can take one thing. You can take one soul, 2 soul, 3 soul, because God says one soul, it's greater than millions of Academy Awards.
Yes, that's right.
I can bring people to heaven.
Yes.
So that's when I start changing my values of how to pursue what is success in God's eyes and what is success in my eyes is very different.
And after this encounter with an ant, how long did it take before you really made up your mind to go on a new path?
I struggled with it for a long time because sometime in 1996, 97, you know, I always feel this sense of emptiness. I don't know what it was, even though I was working at Disney. There's no sense of satisfaction for me until that God showed me a verse in Matthew 6, 19 to 21. He says that don't store your treasure on earth, but store it in heaven. And then when God showed me that my value in my life, because I have such a low self-esteem, and finally Firefly found his purpose. And I struggled with it since after Mulan, and I thought, you know, it's such a waste, God, if you have me come out and serve you and do the Christian thing, you know, it's such a waste. I'm so gifted and talented. Look how much money I can make, how much influence I can make in Disney. So doing that transition, I have a lot of my quiet times. When I read the Bible, you know, it's like the greatest movie script for me. I remember in The Lion King, you know, they also used the Bible to turn it into the Lion King story. I will start having this wonderful story idea in 1995. It's called The Giant Leap. So I written this movie script about these animals, how they found Noah's Ark.
And by that moment, have you left Disney?
No. At that time, I wrote this, The Giant Leap, this script. When I wrote this thing, I sold it to Warner Brothers, the script, for 2 years. I sold it to them. And then after 2 years, the contract is up. They didn't make it to a movie. So it's set in my house for another 2 years. And in behind my mind, I always have this desire that says, you know, what if we can do that from Genesis to Book of Revelations and tell it not so much from a religious experience, but more like Jesus tells, you know, Jesus tells parables. He's told 57 parables in the New Testament. He was telling the story of the heaven. Part of it, I think, is because that we can't understand how deep and how deep is heaven's knowledge. But he used stories that we can understand like an ant. And you know, so I created a whole series of books called Invisible Tales. And so from year 2000, that's when I start to see tangible things that, okay, God, after Star Wars, I think I'm ready to go now, because now I know what to do.
So that means at that time you are almost over with all your struggles and you're determined to go ahead and to leave Disney.
Yeah, when I saw such a creative way that we can create the Bible from the animal point of view, and it become a film, and it become a massive commercial property, it's no longer just a what you call ink and paper Bible. It's become a living and alive parables.
Now you mentioned 2 names while thinking about this new path. Well, the one is Invisible Tales, the other is the name, Can Do.
Yes.
Tell us something more about it.
Well,
what is Invisible Tales? Why do you come up with this name?
Invisible Tale came from, because whenever Jesus finished telling the parable, he always says, let those who have eyes, let them see. Let those ears, let them hear. Even though they see it, but they don't see it. Even though they hear it, but they don't hear it. So I think ultimately is, you can hear the story of the Bible, but it takes Holy Spirit to open this person's eyes and ears.
And what is Can Do?
Can Do film is this character, fox named Can Do. And Can Do is really inspirational from my father's verse. And this little fox named Can Do. And Can Do's name comes from Philippians 4:13. I can do all things through Christ.
Yes.
So, and that's why I believe every children have a can do power, because, you know, when I was so low self-esteem, and unfortunately, you know, we embraced that poor side, but we need to look up to God and really receive that diamond value, that we are precious as God sees us precious.
But still, after that, you have lots of struggle, you have lots of fear.
Yes.
Even up to now.
Well,
tell us something.
I said, you know, I face every day. I still face the financial issues, you know, and You know, I still face where's this money going to come from for our films? You know, and our film, it takes $50 million to make one feature animated films, and I didn't want it to be low budget. And then, you know, because there's no magic, so I've been waiting for probably 12 years now, and continue to hope and dream that someday that these films could be made with such a high quality that that you know the kids have the opportunity that they never walk into the church, and you know they can see and meet God in the theater, at least the stories.
Now about the characters there, the fox and who else?
We have the fox and the monkey, Itzhak. Itzhak, you know, dreams about all you can eat bananas because the whole forest of banana trees is all chopped down by Noah. So he's hoping one day he can find his bananas.
Kendu the fox was controlled, manipulated by another animal.
Yeah, dinosaurs, yeah. So the allegory is dinosaurs represent a lot of us because, you know, dinosaurs didn't believe in Noah's Ark. They believe in themselves because they're big and mighty. And Kendu says, no, the rain is coming. There's a big rain. And only thing that saves is the giant leaf. Kendu, you know, he keeps looking for giant leaf. And of course, they went inside Noah's Ark as a belly. And Kendu didn't find his giant leaf until later on when the water rested on the mountain. And he saw it. The giant leaf was from the bottom of Noah's Ark. So
it's about your first book.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the latest book now. Which one is it?
This is Firefish. So after this, these are all movie scripts. And when I finished this all came from my devotions. And then when I read the story of book of Exodus, was Moses crossing the Red Sea, I saw a fish in the water there. And I saw, wow. We need to tell the story of Exodus, of Moses crossing the Red Sea from this fish perspective, from the water point of view.
I can see that these are very interesting parables and especially interesting to kids.
Yes.
And it may help them to come to the Bible and understand the truth. But may I ask that, have you been challenged or faced by challenges that the way you tell it is not kind of biblical or theological?
Right.
Yeah, how do you explain that?
Because again, this is meant to be allegory. This is just an arrow to point them into the right way. So this right here, like for example, the Lion King. If I could tell everybody the Lion King came from the story of Moses, you know, but the kids know Simba, right? So their kids are stuck with Simba. All they can do is buy toys. So what if kids understand the Simba comes from here? Yeah. That's our goal. It's not for them to buy toys. It's for them to really understand who is behind Simba, who is his dad.
I can associate with this C.S. Lewis' Chronicles of Narnia. Yes. That's some kind of allegory type of thing.
Well, you know, the world is very clever. You know, again, the world is owned by the Prince of Darkness. Yep. And I think often that, you know, we are losing the young people, the next generations. When we see church is just on Sundays, we need to let kids know that your gift and your service and your talent is beyond Sundays. You know, your work, me as an artist, I don't see myself, I'm not just God's firefly. I am a firefly, and I happen to use my firefly gift to glow and shine for Christ.
Now we can see that the firefly here is on a mission flight.
Yes.
Yeah, tell us something more before we close, that your vision and mission as a firefly so that you may shine the truth even more.
A lot of people heard about my stories doing some other interviews in Asia, and I often go to China, talk about creativity and animations. So when I go to a country like that, you know, that first creativity does come from a creator, doesn't come from creature itself. So for me, when my goal is to ultimately to make films that inspires the next generation.
Well, we have so many inspiring stories that inspire me to think of song lyrics of a famous song. I'd rather be a sparrow than a snail.
Oh, okay.
Yes, I would.
Yeah.
If I only could.
Yes.
And I can see that you'd rather be a firefly and riding on the wings of the Lord.
Yes.
To keep on shining.
Amen.
Yes. Yes.
Yes.
Thank you for that.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
刘大伟说，他是一只发光的萤火虫，经过自卑的童年、学业的挣扎、险死还生的经历，然后进军好莱坞，也面对不少试探，然后毅然放弃事业。这只萤火虫现在飞向各地，用圣经动画向下一代为神发光，因为他相信这一位创造主是生命终极答案。如果你也想认识这位创造主，请你现在就致电恩语生命热线，或者登入恩语之声的网页和我们联络，我们很愿意进一步和你分享基督教信仰。愿神赐福你。
政治嘅嘢呢，有時係反反覆覆嘅。人生有佢就必定蒙福。人生就萬變，但係耶穌嘅愛係永遠不變。